It is past time for Christianity for black folks to go the way of the dodo bird. It is time for us to grow the hell up, accept the facts as laid out on this show, go do your own research from the works listed, and return home spiritually. Your ancestors are eagerly awaiting your return. They cannot fully help you when you are smothered in the lie called Christianity that explains away their continued existence, that explains away your obligations to acknowledge them, call upon them, and ask for their continued strength and guidance. Listen, I need y'all to listen clearly to these two questions. Who told us that the Bible was the Word of God? Who told us that Christianity was the way of God? Do we really ask ourselves these questions? So far, the overwhelming answer is no. And now remember, I'm speaking to the so-called self-professed, pro-black nationalists and Pan-Africanists here. They are too damn busy making excuses. Oh, well, Kamal, they just misinterpreted it for their benefit. But Christianity was ours from the beginning. First of all, that argument is wrong, incorrect. Because if we really look at what we were doing before Christianity existed as an idea on the planet, if we really look at what we were doing before Christianity existed as an idea on the planet, we had entirely different ways of relating to the creative forces of the universe. Secondly, do you really think that apologetic explanation explains away the effects that still linger in us today over its so-called use or misuse? The Bible is not the Word of God, period. The Bible is the word of Caucasoids who gave it to us to pacify us and transform our spiritual and cultural reality. That shit has worked better than even they expected. Some brilliant minds in our camp still feel it's something worthy to be listened to and will damn me for questioning it. Well, I damn you with the strength of at least 200,000 years of African ancestors beside, and around me who are more than ready to get their families back into the fold. First, to avenge their wrongful deaths, rapes, and tortures, but who are also more than ready to assist us in the rebuilding of our African nation, cleansed of all the lies of Christianity, the Bible, and the fictional Jesus character. We have to step out of the Christian paradigm to effect real change in our conditions today, period. We must reject the lie called Jesus and reawaken ourselves to Nana Tigray, Nana Sergibi, to the Loas of Vodun, to the Neteru of Kemet, to the Orishas of Ifa, to the Abasun of the Akan system, and to all the deities of all the spirit forces within the ancestries of everyone listening to this broadcast live and those who will download this. Christianity deserves to be thrown in the ash can of history for stolen Africans worldwide, and a revival of our African spirituality that was outlawed by Caucasoids, which is really the only real power that Caucasoids feared, must be consciously and deliberately reawakened, re-enlivened in each and every one of us. As Ra Ifabema says in Ancestors, Hidden Hands, Healing Spirits, we need 1 million awakened shrines to effect real change in our conditions. And this show, Africa's ReAscention, hopes to serve as a catalyst to speed that process up. Now hear this. We do not need folks who want to only do the spiritual thing. We need folks who are re-embracing the totality of our traditional culture and who are slated for nation building and complete African sovereignty. Led by our deities and our cultural way, we will be further along on the road to those said goals than all previous movements of the past that we now blindly emulate. They did serve their purpose. to get us mentally to this point right now. It is now past time to move to the next level, using our classical and traditional spiritual systems to serve as the foundations of our sovereignty and nation-building efforts, while simultaneously casting away all vestiges of foreign ideologies, thought forms, religious lies, and systems. The Bible is not the Word of God. Christianity is not God's way for Africans worldwide. Period. We have gods, deities, spirit forces that predate this colonizing Christian God. We have African spiritual texts and thought forms that predate this colonizing Bible, and no form of lying to ourselves and trying to make it ours will save us. It hasn't to date, and it will not in the future, and we will damn future generations by holding on to it with a death-like grip and making excuses for it. I want to say that what we did is just whitened up Christianity. And the last show, I've been trying to walk through and show how we looked at things, what we did, and show how they have been bastardized and watered down into this crazy chimera called Christianity. I remember somebody had mentioned about the Hebrews. I just want to make a quick statement. The thing with the Heru, as we called them, or the Hebrews who were in Kemet, is this. And this applies to whether they were black or invading wandering whites. They did not fully understand what was going on in Kemet either. None of them, to my knowledge, graduated from our quote-unquote mystery schools, i.e. completed the 40-year immersion process. So when you read African Egypt, Light of the World, Volume 2, especially, Gerald Massey constantly says in a variety of ways the Hebrews literalized the mythology of the Egyptians. A facsimile of that statement is on almost every page. So if in that Bible, while a whole lot of imagery and concepts look similar to our Kemetic ways, the Kemetic meanings did not come with them. Therefore, let me state this clearly. The Bible is not the Pert M. Heru, or better translated for English, the Book of Coming Forth by Day and by Night. And still coming from this book, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World, he walks you through some of these things. As far as the aspect of the resurrection is concerned, what Gerald Massey has to share, divine Heru, now he says Horus, I'm correcting him with Heru. Divine Heru is portrayed in the act of raising the deceased Asar from the bier by presenting to him the Ankh sign of life. He was the life in person who performed the resurrection and therefore is the resurrection and the life. As such, he simply stands for a soul considered to be the divine offspring of God the Father, not for any historical character that makes preposterous pretensions to possess miraculous power. Salvation for Ancient Kemet, still coming from the book, Ancient Egypt, Light of the World by Gerald Massey. The truth is made known by the words of Heru, which were written down by Tehuti in the ritual. But the fulfillment depends on the mains making the word truth by doing it. That is the only way of salvation or safety for the soul. The only mode of becoming a true being who would endure as pure spirit forever. The Egyptians had no vicarious atonement, no imputed righteousness, no second-hand salvation. No initiate in the Assyrian mysteries could possibly have rested his hope of reaching heaven on the Galilean line of glory, i.e., giving up them doing things to reach salvation by giving it to this fictional Jesus character. No person in our systems even had that misthought. He even goes in through and breaks down an aspect Because, again, with Gerald Massey, he'll go through 4 or 5 pages breaking down concepts, so I'm just bringing up chunks here. And speaking on this so-called deluge aspect that Christianity stole but misunderstood and misinterpreted. The identity of the deluge legend in Kemet, I'm correcting him, he says Egypt, but in Kemet, you must know how to look for it. No use in peering through the Semitic spectacles. The Kemetic ritual affords a study of the deluge mythos in the phase of eschatology. The passage for the soul in death has long and universally been linked to a river or some dark water flowing betwixt the 2 worlds of earth and heaven. This, in Kemet, was the new, N-U-N. The way of the gods in their ascent and descent to earth was by water. The way of the souls in their ascent to heaven is equally by water, whether in the ark of the moon, the bark of Orion, or the boat of the sun. And we know that has been horribly misunderstood, mistranslated to an actual flood that destroyed the whole world. And one day we're going to go into the idiocy of that concept. How much lead time would inchworms halfway across the planet would have had to been given so they could make it all the way to Noah's Ark? Anyway, I'm not going to address that craziness. Dealing with the so-called miracles of Jesus. In performing his miracles with the Word, in being the Word incarnated or made truth in person, in wielding magic power over the elements, casting out demons, causing spirits of evil to enter the swine, healing the woman with the issue of blood, giving sight to the blind, blah, 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 blah. In all of these and other things, Jesus is accredited to doing exactly what was attributed to Heru in the ritual and in the Kemetic mysteries. But these more miraculous things never done by mortal or immortal on the surface of our earth. They were other world occurrences in the true rendering, and they can only be re-related to reality as a mythical mode of representing the scenes and the drama of a menta. Again, just because aspects were ascribed to the fictional Jesus does not mean Jesus was Heru. So in the final analysis, Christianity is nothing but a poorly mistranslated and non-understood mythology. As mythology, it stands side by side with other cultural peoples' mythologies. By standing side by side with other mythologies, we also include our innate African mythologies. By being African people by birthright, it is our duty to at least first know and understand our mythologies. Now, to move even further, we must then embrace our African mythologies as our culturally distinct and culturally specific ways of explaining different levels of reality around us. Therefore, we are not going against God by not embracing the Christian mythology that is not from us, that is not of us, nor are we damned to the fictional Christian hell by no longer following the Christian mythology. We actually free ourselves from other people's so-called explanations of reality and then are moved to live up to the obligations put forth from our ways of explaining reality. It is time to relearn those ways, re-embrace those ways, tangibly reawaken those ways, and then we can begin to create individuals who will create families, who will create societies, who will create nations that will make Kemet look like a foothold, they'll make Kemet look like a footnote in our African history books for those yet born. Delinking ourselves from the lie called Christianity and relinking ourselves fully to the truths of our classical and traditional African spiritual systems is our only true path to total African sovereignty.